Hello, welcome to Living in the Light, and I'm Mary Amy, and I'm all about shifting away darkness, guiding you to choose potential, and cracking open that beautiful glowing light in your heart. Welcome. Today is June 6th. Here I am, or June 7th, I'm sorry. June 7th. Welcome to Living in the Light. I'm coming to you live from New York, and I haven't been here since last week. And there's been an assortment of things going on, but here I am. And tonight we're going to cover topics like power grid shutdown, Nazis, and you thought those guys were gone, but they're not. Where's all the gold? And we're going to connect to our higher consciousness. And I'm going to give you some tips about that. Of course, I'm going to mention psychic phenomenon, which is actually going to be related to the higher consciousness and angels. Here we are, it's Wednesday, and we are experiencing some change. All of us across the globe are experiencing change. If you're aware, now you can be so stuck in a routine or your energetic pattern that you don't look outwards or inwards, and you're just kind of robotic and you're conforming. Are you a conformist or are you a rebel? And I have to tell you, here's a little chart about conformity and individuality. Now, it says here's a couple of characteristics. So, conformity, the definition is matching one's behavior to the majority's expectations. And that's what we've experienced out there, haven't we, in the physical reality, in the physical dimension, in the 3D world, in the simulation. Is the best bet is to go along with what everyone else is doing. In fact, let's follow what everyone's saying on the television. Let's just be robots and let's not have individuality. And that means quality that distinguishes a person from others, emphasis individual beliefs, needs, and desires. So let's just take that into account every single minute that we are awake, or even in our sleeping astral realm life. Let's consider that. Let's consider being an individual. Now, why am I saying that? Why do I bring emphasis to that? Because that's the only way that you're going to actually reach your destiny, reach your potential. Because can you imagine if you were trying to follow everyone else, or you were following everyone else, and you had this thought that, well, I'm going to still get where I want to go. But who are you following? You're following their destiny. What is your destiny? And I like to bring up, let's imagine our destiny right here in front of us in this moment, because that's how we're creating it. We can only create in this moment. We can't create 10 years down the road or even tomorrow. We create it right here, and that's how we manifest it. So let's right now imagine our destiny is right here in front of us. You can have your eyes open because you want to see everything, or you can be internal and have your eyes closed because we are holding space within ourselves for our inner life. So let's do this together right now in this moment. And first of all, have gratitude for this moment. Are you grateful you're here right now and you're breathing and you're here on this earth, new earth Gaia? Let's have gratitude. Let's be grateful. Let's cherish this moment. So we're going to breathe out. And we're going to breathe in all of our hopes and dreams. And we're going to imagine right in front of us, if we could see it, if it was here present, what is your destiny? Maybe it's in a little globe. Maybe you're actually visualizing it. Maybe you close your eyes and you sense it. Whatever comes through to you when I say that is right for you. Because we're basing this, some of this at least, on our own feelings, our own emotions, our own imagination, our own clear senses. So what are you seeing? Exactly the colors, the temperature, the energies around it. Really come up with specifics. The more specifics you have, the more you can enter into that world. And I'm going to share with you, we've spoken many, many times about portals. Okay, so we are creating a portal to your destiny by imagining it right here. It's a doorway, it's a gateway. And you can just step right into it. And as soon as you visualize this, and as soon as you see this with all of your thoughts, all your emotions, all your feelings, all your senses, and then you speak of it as you have it already in this moment, the universe is just going to drop it in your lap. There's going to be synchronicity that happens. And what is synchronicity? Synchronicity is when things that have nothing to do with each other come together. They cross over. It's like validation. So if you're imagining or you're saying, oh my gosh, we're just going to make something up. My plan is to climb the highest mountain. I can see it right here. And the more that you believe it, you have confidence you can do it, you have a willingness, you have an open mind and open heart, then you'll receive validation. Maybe it'll be a phone call. Maybe it'll be someone will reach out to you. It might be something in a feed that you have. You're going to stumble right into it. It's going to be right there waiting for you. But you have to believe it. You can't have any doubt, because when you have doubt, you're sabotaging yourself. We don't want to have doubt. We've had enough doubts in our life, and we're going to get into some of the villains and the heroes that we've experienced when we get into I think it's under the Nazis. Okay, so I'm Mary Amy. I'm coming to you live from New York. Tonight we're talking about power grid outages, Nazis, where's all the gold? I'm going to remind you, keep track of your sleeping dreams. As soon as you wake up in the morning, if you have a dream that you can remember, because we all have dreams. Maybe you have so much going on that you're blocking yourself from remembering your dreams. Let's take accurate account of our dreams. Let's write down the date, a little description of what happened, and how you feel. How you feel. Now, if you have been undergoing a transformation, a transition, you're transmuting, you probably are receiving positive dreams lately. You're releasing anything negative that you've had in your being. Some of the same themes that have been going on over and over and over again in your sleeping dreams, they might be departing from your system, because there is light coming onto the earth and you are undergoing a transformation. So be aware of that. And it's pretty exciting. Everything that's going on right now is very exciting. Anyone who's joining us, I hope you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, I'm going to remind you about your intention. And your intention is basically you squaring off to what you want. You're like, this is what I want. That's my intention. And you can unknowingly have a negative intention where you're not realizing that you are sending yourself some negative vibes. And what will happen? You will take yourself off your pathway because of your own thoughts, because of your own actions and your own energy. We want to have a commitment to do our best. If we say, oh, everything just goes wrong for me all the time, and you know what? Maybe it does. You might have some, I guess, crisis going on, or you might have had some bad luck, but you can change it right now in this moment by having a good intention. So you're going to change your thought process. You can have control over your thoughts. You are capable of making changes without realizing based on your thoughts. They can go into a negative direction or they can go into a positive direction. And then also, our thoughts are very powerful, which is kind of running parallel to our intention, isn't it? Okay. Now, I don't know if you realize this. I've said I live in New York, but today was very odd. It was a very peculiar day. Now, yesterday, it hailed here in New York. I'm on the East Coast. I'm 45 minutes outside of Manhattan. It hailed. We had hailstorms. They were like this big. I even took a video and posted it on my Twitter. But the strangest was today, I woke up and I went and took a video down by the water, and the sky was this yellowish orange color, and I didn't really realize what was going to transpire throughout the day. But by noon, the day had turned into very unusual. It smelled like smoke outside. The skies were this yellowish orange color, and the sun was orange. And your eyes felt like burning because that's how bad the smoke was. So apparently there are these Canadian wildfires, and they've been going on for a few days, and it's very strange. It's been hazy, and it smells like smoke, and apparently there are 200 to 400 fires that have been started. Now uh, it's affecting, I should say, not it's affecting Rhode Island. And Rhode Island is 500 miles from where these wildfires are, which is hundreds from Western Providence to Quebec. And then it's 1,000 miles from Chicago. Now, anyone who's living in the New York area near New York City was experiencing this today. And it was so strange. People were outside wearing masks because they couldn't breathe. I'm like, what's going on here? It's so odd. So is this HARP? Were these wildfires intentionally started? Who started them? It's the air quality it was bad. I'm not exaggerating. I was shocked. I've been shocked. And when you go from your car inside, it's like your eyes are burning, and I get all clogged up. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know. They say for the next couple of days. Some other present news is Tucker Carlson released his first episode on Twitter, and it already has had 20.4 million views. And he spoke of extraterrestrials, Jeffrey Epstein, 9/11, a lot of the discussion that is not pronounced on mainstream media and has not been allowed. There's been a lot of blockage and bans from speaking about certain topics, and it hasn't been made to be important or a current news subject. But Tucker Carlson is actually speaking his mind now. I find this to be kind of refreshing. Okay, so the power grid shutdowns or shutdown, a power grid shutdown. Now, what exactly is that? A power grid shutdown would be we would lose all of our electrical power. It would be a loss, and it would affect all of us, or I guess whoever had the power grid shut down. And so we would have failure of the power. We would have power loss. And is this possible? I'm bringing this topic up as usual because I want to emphasize it, whether it's relevant or it's something that I sense that is imminent or we should be aware of. And just like the emergency broadcast system or the alert system, I've mentioned that a few times. So are we capable of losing our power? And this would be a power loss worldwide, and the electricity in most populated areas would go down. We'd have a loss of this. So what would happen? If the power grid shuts down, every part of our society would grow to a grinding halt, wouldn't it? So the systems of the medical, probably your day-to-day business, whether it's tasks that you have to undergo or your workplace, this would mean that we wouldn't have computers, we wouldn't have lights. It would be like the good old days, the pioneer days. Maybe our cars would not function properly. And would there be chaos because there'd be no transportation? There'd be no way for you to purchase items because the electrical systems would not be functioning properly. Now, do you believe this to be a possibility? Why am I bringing this up? Because I believe that our systems are undergoing some transformation. And what I mean by that is they are collapsing. There's a lot of truth being revealed, a lot of disclosure, and it might seem like it's going at a snail's pace, like a little tortoise it's going to win the race, but the hare's in front of it, the rabbit's in front of it. And is it possible? Absolutely, because who would expect in New York that I would be not being able to function outside because of some kind of fires in Canada, wildfires. So anything is possible. And we have to just be aware of this, and we have to bring attention to it so that we're not in a place of like, oh my gosh, oh, because we shouldn't be freaked out. If in fact this does happen, it means change is coming. And it's not going to be bad change, because we all are so much more aware of evil now and all of the villains, and goodness will prevail. I believe that. Will there be chaos? Maybe there'll be some momentary chaos. In other words, people are going to freak out before they calm themselves down, because we do know that there was a toilet paper shortage a few years ago because people did freak out. And then, like, if there's a snowstorm, everyone runs to the grocery store. There will be that kind of reaction by some, but others are going to say, this is an opportunity to start over. We can begin again. We can take another pattern, another energetic pattern can come into play. And how is that going to happen? Well, when we step out of our comfort zone, it's not going to be business as usual. And that might be a good thing, because we've all been in a place of turmoil, whether we realize it. We've been given medication when we don't feel well, rather than to look at really what the issue is, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Here, take a pill. Just take a pill. And that's how come Big Pharma is doing so well, is because that's how we handle our life. Take a pill, have a drink, smoke something, not really figure out what's going on inside of us. That's where the gold is. What's going on inside of you? You are highly advanced. That's why we're going to get into higher consciousness today. So this power grid shutdown, what would cause it? We know it's an opportunity to start over and form a new energetic pattern, but what could start this exactly? Well, from what I understand, a cyber attack, an electromagnetic pulse. Maybe this is intentional or not. Maybe something cosmically, maybe something in our galaxy. It is possible. So a power grid shutdown would end the old way of life, which means lights would go out, refrigeration, electronics, and you wouldn't be able to see much after the sunset. Now, based on research that I've done, a power grid shutdown could be 70% based on weather, which means some kind of storm, either extreme heat or extreme cold. 70% chance of that. If you would say, what are the reasons that there would be a solar storm? And that's kind of what we've mentioned here and there. I've said it here and there. A solar flash, like the Carrington event, 100% chance. Back then, it was like 1947, I think it was. I want to say it was 1947. It was based on, no, wait, maybe it was 1847. I better look that up before I say that. The Carrington event. Does anyone remember the Carrington event? I don't want to give bad information. And so a solar storm would be 100% chance. And we've been speaking about the solar flares and how a solar flash would be kind of you could say a divine event, a solar storm. And we've already been receiving these solar flares that sometimes they're X-class flares. And they're coming from the sun, electromagnetic radiation. Although today, I don't see there's a chance that we're having a solar flash because of all of this smoke in the air. So I'm just going to look this up and tell you specifically what year the Carrington event was, so that I am being 1859. See, I was like 100 years off. 1859 was the Carrington event. And then there's also the chance that there would be some kind of cyber attack. So if there's a cyber attack, really they don't have the percentage of what the degree of chance of that occurring, because I don't know if it's ever really occurred, a cyber attack. They've spoken out, oh, we're gonna have a cyber attack, terrorists. Is that from the government, the United States government? Maybe. All right, so here's some examples of what you would do if there was a power grid shutdown. I'm gonna list some things. You can write it down or not if you find this to be hokey or impossible, and you just want to move on to talking about Nazis, you can come back. I'm just going to list a few tips in case there is a power grid shutdown. One, you want to locate your family members. You want to have a personal security plan. You want to determine the cause of what is causing this power grid shutdown. I think that's imperative that we know why. Just like I'm saying to myself, what's going on here with the weather? I want to know why. And everything that I'm reading is coming from a news source. I look at alternative news. However, it's undefined right now. Okay, you want to get as many groceries as possible. You want to be able to preserve your food, have water filters, flashlight, candle holders. You want to have some kind of fire safety in place, some solar panels. You want to prep your vehicle, and you want to have some kind of hand washing system and toilet available to you. So those are some suggestions in case we have a power grid shutdown. Am I being an alarmist? No, it's just about bringing attention so that you don't go into a freak mode. Because if you think about it, when you are going on a trip, do you go on a trip and you plan for the trip, or that day of the trip, you just rush around and do everything? Well, hopefully you plan at least 24 hours in advance. It's kind of the same thing. Just have a plan in case. So the first thing was locate your family members. So just be aware of that. Okay. I did have this picture here, and this is from, I wanted to remind you about this. This was over Turkey. I don't even know which way it goes. And if you remember, this happened, let's say, sometime over the winter time, we saw this cloud. And then a few days later, there was an earthquake. So this was an indication, a sign. And usually before some kind of event, there are signs. Because it's almost as though karmically the universe is going to give us awareness. So just be aware right now. Like, that's why today I'm becoming aware. You know, there was hail yesterday and today there's smoke. I don't know what to make of that. All right, so Nazis. Now we think, oh, Nazis aren't present. That was from World War II and they're still in Germany. But if you travel down some of the rabbit holes like I have, you realize the Nazis never really went away. They've been around. Anyone who's joining us, I hope you like the video and subscribe to the channel. So who exactly are the Nazis? Well, we know there's the symbolism of Nazis. We've seen that symbol they have. We know that there is a leader involved of the Nazis, of the Third Reich. Is that how you say it? Third Reich. And that was Adolf Hitler. And so Nazis were from Nazi Germany in the 1930s in Europe, and the Nazi Party controlled the country into a dictatorship run by Adolf Hitler. So Germany became this totalitarian country, state, controlled by the government, the Third Reich, and it ended in May 1945 after 12 years when the Allies defeated Germany in World War II. Now, is that true? Well, we thought so. But what we're discovering, we're realizing that maybe they didn't go away. They just went into hiding. Have they been existing here in our country? Because the US government did bring the Nazis over here after World War II. They brought over the Nazi scientists, and they brought over a scientist who was part of the Third Reich, Werner von Braun. And Werner von Braun actually was one of the directors, or if not the only director, of NASA. NASA was created by Nazi scientists. And NASA is what we know as the Natural Aeronautics and Space Administration. And it was devised by the federal government in 1958. So right there, you could say, I don't think the Nazis left. And I believe some of the Nazis came over here and they were involved in some of this mind control that we've spoken of, or I've spoken of, the MK Ultra, which was these 23 programs that were devised to figure out how humans could be controlled, how they could have power over them, how they could basically be hypnotized into doing and saying and being whatever these individuals wanted. And they did this through experiments. And those were Nazi scientists involved in that as well. So NASA's headquarters is in Washington, D.C., and it's responsible for the civil space program. So aeronautics research and space research is NASA. So Werner von Braun was this German member of the Nazi Party, and he was headlining NASA. And he was all about rocket technology when he was in Nazi Germany. And he developed this as well in the United States. Now, he was born March 23rd, 1912. So this is something to be aware of, because here we think that we're living in this beautiful country, and it is a beautiful country, but it's a country that there are, patriots and the American way. And we're finding out that below the surface, now maybe they were in, and we're going to get into some of these tunnels that were devised in Nazi Germany. And there's been tunnels that have been running across the globe. And I've spoken about them, and we're finding out, and we're realizing, and there's been disclosure that there's human trafficking involved, child trafficking, there's been programs, there's been, inhabitants living down there. And we really don't know. We're finding out. Well, Nazi Germany also had their own tunnels that they built. So Werner von Braun served as the director of NASA for 10 years, from 1960 to 1970. He developed the Saturn 1B and Saturn U space vehicles. And now we know that this bringing over of these scientists was known as Operation Paperclip. So Nazi scientists were brought to the United States, and this was by the Joint Intelligence Committee in 1945. So in Nazi Germany, there were figuratively and literally underground tunnels. And these underground tunnels were known as basically a shadow, I guess you could say a complex shadow entity that was devised to spy on us, create, build, and develop programs to control and dominate Americans. And so this shadow government right now that we are realizing has been living below the surface is basically a globalistic parasite. And you know what a parasite is? You've seen parasites, haven't you? You've seen little videos about parasites. Sometimes they're in movies. Sometimes they're in these sci-fi, which is turning out sci-fi is practically reality for us. So parasites are some kind of thing that utilizes a host to live off of. And we've been this host for these parasites. So there have been these beings, and maybe they're human, maybe they're not. I don't even want to consider. I believe that some of these parasites are soulless. They're soulless because they have committed crimes against humanity. And so these Nazis are basically parasites. So they're living off and feeding off of us. And we have to basically shove them off of us and get them away from us and become more and more aware between good and evil and realize the parasites are evil and they've been hosting on us. So this shadow America that has been existing here, and maybe it's been over 100 years. I'm not quite sure. I just know that this shadow government, this shadow treasonous America is regulated to spies. It's regulated to, it seems like an army of individuals that are trying to create our demise. And we have to get rid of these parasites. We have to basically dig down, dig our heels in, and we have to maybe not fight back physically, but energetically fight back and stand up for ourselves and never let ourselves be bullied again. And this corruption has been unified with satanic energy. And I believe that this satanic, hey, who's here? Hey, Ghost Knight. My day is going well. Thanks for saying that. Although, like I said earlier, the smoke that's been going on right around New York City, I've been breathing it in today. I had the door open to where at my job in the Matrix, and I had to close it. And I like to keep the door open and have a flood of fresh air, but there wasn't fresh air coming in. And it was so strange because the skies were this yellowish orange. Now, why have these Nazis been going after us? Because they're trying to create, like they always did, a superior race. And they believe themselves to be superior, and they've invaded all of our systems. Now, maybe it's not just the Nazis. Maybe they've all joined together in this dark energy, this glob of energy. And we might be including the Illuminati. And the Illuminati is very present in the entertainment business, in the music business, the secret societies. But they all like to hide below the surface, don't they? We hear all about these underground tunnels. And they are hiding because they don't want light to see them. They don't want us to see them. And we've been allowing them to be present because we've been complacent. We haven't wanted to look. We're trying to get by. Maybe we're too busy. Maybe we're overworked or stressed out. But now it's time to put on our big boy pants and our big girl pants and to basically say, heck no, you're not going to come after us anymore. We're patriots. We're Americans. We're not letting any of this hoopla happen. We want to have a beautiful life. We want to have fun. We don't want to pay taxes anymore. And we don't want to work ourselves to death. So we are going to fight off, whether it's spiritually or emotionally or mentally, we're going to fight off these satanic forces. And now we know that they've established in the core of the United States some of this Nazi Germany mentality, where they are trying to dominate over us and believe that they are a superior race. And they want to erase all of our freedom, all of our love, all of our organic potential. And they want to replace it with violence and fear and suffering. Now, I don't know if you realize this. What did Ghost Knight say? Oh yeah, the bad air and air purifier. I know. Everything was sold out, air purifiers. So I don't know if you realize this. That in Nazi Germany, they built subterranean bunkers and tunnels below our globe. And they had the mentality to damage others with evil actions and slaughter and crime. And so they had this secret construction project going on. The first Nazi bunkers, it was called Project Reese, and they built 7 massive underground bases between 1943 and 1945. And it was and the biggest were in the Al Mountains in Poland. And these were the names of them. They were called bunker complexes. The Kazez Castle Complex Woolris, I butcher names, Complex Soban, Complex Awaska, Complex Sakilak, Complex Rizeka, Complex Janois. So this one one of the I guess you could say causes for them to create these bunkers were for these underground factories, and there was 10,000 workers that created these underground bunkers, and 8,500 of them were forced manual labor. 8,500 human beings were forced labor to build these tunnels, and 3,000 of them died from overwork and underfeeding. So after all, the Nazi Germany built 7 of the 12 proposed bunkers. Now we know that here in America, we've realized that it's not just the Nazis that are here. We have the Illuminati, the secret societies, the bloodlines. These parasites have been taking advantage of us, taking advantage of our generosity, taking advantage of basically our lives, and they've been feeding off of us. They're feeding off, a parasite feeds off an organism, and we are basically the organism that they're feeding off of. And we're not, it's like the power of thought. We have to be strong. We have the power within us to determine the outcome, our spirit. Now there's universal laws. And one of the universal laws is if you are told the truth and you hand away your power, then they can do whatever they want. So we don't want to hand away our power anymore. No, these greedy politicians, they've been living off us at the expense of others. And they're basically, I guess you could call them intestinal parasites, like hooks and suckers, and they suck the blood out of us. And we're not going to let them do this anymore. So do you feel like you've had a parasite infection living here? And how long has it been going on? We're going to say no more, aren't we? Hey, Bob Harding, just got home from traveling and receiving energy from all over the place. People and places are still good and still worth it. Yes, they are. We are taking care of each other. We're going to come out of our homes and hug one another. Now, it's interesting that still, we believe that there always has to be a villain, because guess what? That's what we were trained to believe. There was always the fairy tales. There was always somebody evil trying to get us or get the hero or the heroine in the story. But there doesn't have to be a villain. There can be just goodness. That's just made up so that we are always running for our lives, and they are creating fear within us. So we have to know that the media creates this. It's all stories. And we all fall for it every time. We're like, oh my gosh. And that's why today when this happened with the smoke outside and the smell, and it was like burning my eyes, I said, calm down, don't get all wound up about this, because it's a way I think it might be a way to create fear. I'm not really sure what's going on. I'm sure the answer is going to surface. The truth always comes out. The truth always is revealed. And you have to have patience, and it will be shown, but you must protect yourself as well. That's why we spoke about just being aware, if the power grid shuts down, and now be aware of the Nazis. And I'm going to get into some positive stuff, your higher consciousness. I'm going to give you some tidbits, some tips about connecting to your higher consciousness. And we all can do it. So anyone who's joining us, I hope you like the video and subscribe to the channel. All right, so where is the gold? Where's the gold? Let me just remind, here's a reptilian. Have you seen any of these in your dreams lately? Well, these guys are leaving the planet. They're going off planet now. This is a reptilian, and they too live under the earth. They live in the tunnels, and whether or not this is just basically a caricature, I'm not quite sure, but this is what a reptilian is supposed to look like. They look like a reptile. Okay, before I speak about gold, because we want to know about gold, let's speak about for a second light on the horizon. Good things are coming beyond your view. Like this morning when I went down to go take a video by the water, it wasn't sunny like this. There was some sun coming out. I posted on my Instagram and my Twitter. You can look me up, Mary Amy. The light on the horizon to me means good things are coming beyond our view. A difficult situation will improve. And I speak about tuning into your heart. And why do I do that? Because when we connect to ourselves, and our heart is how we feel. So our emotions and mood, our feelings are very essential to positivity in our life, to manifesting our dreams, our desires. Because if your heart's saying like, oh my gosh, I'm so sad or I'm upset, and there are moments that we should be feeling that way. Maybe something happened. Maybe you're worried about something. There might be a crisis you're going through, maybe a loss. It's okay from time to time to tune into your heart and say like, I'm not feeling good. I just want to go to bed and go to sleep, or I need to eat a yummy dinner, or, I need something, I need to go somewhere and just be with a friend. That's normal. But our feelings within our heart can really determine how things are going to go throughout your day or your week or your month, what kind of mood you're going to be in. So when we connect to our heart and we know ourselves, if we can just get there like that, when we're having a down moment, we can say, wait a second, let me just ask myself. So let's all do that right now. Let's tune into our heart. Let's ask ourselves how we're feeling. Let out a breath and ask yourself how you're feeling. It might not be a quick answer. Now, no one out here really cares. They don't really care because they're trying to survive as well. 2023 basically encapsulates a very difficult transitional historical time, I could say, because everything dark has risen up. It's in our face. It's in your face. It's in our face in the medical industry, in our schools, our education, in our government, maybe in your community. If you live near a city or a major city, you might be experiencing a lot of negativity. So we want to tune into our heart because we want to manifest and come together, have a connection to each other because we're all connected. We're connected. I'm connected to you. You're connected to the trees. I'm connected to the trees. We're all connected. We're connected to like every living creature, like little Elsa right here. And so we want to tune into our heart and we want to realize, how am I feeling right now? So I can say right now, how am I feeling? I'm feeling, I'll give a personal perspective. I'm feeling really very content because I hit a wall a while back, and then I had to get through the good fight, and I came out the other side, and there's a lot more knowledge within me and wisdom. Now, I don't know about you, so I feel content. Now, if you happen to not feel so good, like you say, well, Mary, I'm feeling like crap today. I'm not really feeling good. You kind of want to figure out why, because maybe it's something you're thinking about. It might be something that's blocking you or causing you to have chronic suffering. You want to define it, because as soon as you define it, then you have the boundaries of it. If we don't have the boundaries of something, it seems endless. It seems overwhelming. It seems like it will never end. We want to figure out what the boundaries of it. So the more questions you ask yourself, the better off you are. Because then you can figure out, well, maybe it's going to be over soon, or maybe it's not. And it might be happening to you because you have to get through an issue, or maybe there's something that you need to confront about your personality, or an issue that keeps bringing itself into your life over and over again. Like sometimes we discover that we keep meeting the same person over and over. They just have a different face and a different body, but it's the same stuff over and over. That's because we're supposed to learn something. We're supposed to gain a lesson from them. So be aware of that. Okay, so where is the gold? Where is the gold? Does anyone know where the gold is? Well, I'm going to share with you. What is gold anyway? It's a precious metal, and it's in alloys, and it's rare, and it has physical properties that basically are a secure investment that never loses its value. Now, what we're seeing right now is gold is going up. Now, why is gold going up? The price of gold is becoming more and more, it's raising itself. It's becoming a better investment, I guess you could say, because the dollar is really kind of getting worthless. There's countries across the globe that is joining what's called this BRICS, and they're saying that they're no longer going to take the dollar anymore. The dollar is going to be worthless because we've been spending, and they've been lending out when there's no money in the bank. And so is our money going to be worthless? And I've spoken about whether or not the stock market will crash. Is the dollar going to crash? In other words, be worthless. And what is of value forever and ever is gold. So where is all the gold? Well, gold can be found on every continent. So the largest gold mines, which is a location determined to be producing enough gold to equal profit, they do what's called gold mining. And I kind of wanted to find out what this was. You know, I like to travel down and do some research and figure this out because I don't have any gold, but I know that I'm hearing over and over again, buy gold, buy silver, buy precious metals, because if the dollar heads down to zero, it decreases, and we go to our bank accounts and then our debit cards don't work. What will we be utilizing to basically trade? How will we buy food? How will we be able to get gas for our car? What are we going to all do? And I've mentioned the quantum financial, and then we hear about the CBDC and the central banking digital system. And are they going to turn this in our bank accounts into this digital system? And we're not going to have cash anymore. We're not going to be able to use $1, a $5 bill, a $10 bill. And then are we going to lose all of our power? Because then they can basically turn off your bank account and take away all your cash or your money. And then the quantum financial system is the alternative, which is quantum computing. And it's known to everyone. And it's transactions that will be made public. And all of the greedy leaders and wealthy, I guess, treasonous individuals on the globe, their money won't be worth anything. They'll no longer be wealthy. But we all know that gold will always hold some value. So there's what's called gold mining. So if you can produce enough gold that it makes a profit, that is where they gold mine. So they mine an infrastructure and they have an operational stage. So first there's the operation, and they figure out a date and they stage it and they extract from the earth. So after all the gold is extracted, it's decommissioned, and then they dismantle the mine, and then there's post closure. And for the next 5 to 10 years, that company is responsible for the site after excavation. So what is the mining steps? What is the mining method? First, it's the ore, then it's crushing, then it's grinding, and this is how you create gold bars. Then there's a flotation, acidification, pressure oxidation, gold leaching, absorption into carbon, carbon stripping, gold extra winning. Then there's the gold furnace, and then gold bars. And then they bring it to market. And that's how you create gold bars. So where is gold found? Well, gold is found in rock formations as well as silver can be found with gold, and they can come maybe in flakes or grams and minerals as well. So they're found, gold and silver are found in gold deposits and maybe even nuggets. And I'm just bringing some awareness to this because, like, I didn't know. I didn't know how they make gold bars. You see all these films or you hear about gold. So what exactly is that? It's a gold chain? No, we're speaking about gold bars. And where do they find it? So basically, gold can also be found in the ocean. There's over 15,000 tons of gold in the ocean. Now, what countries have the most gold? Does anyone know? The number one country that has the most gold is China. It has 368 tons of gold. Russia has 331. Now, this is basically probably speculation, unless they really, how do they wholeheartedly know? I guess maybe there's some kind of sensor that can determine this. I'm not quite sure, but I'm just giving you some kind of stats on this. Australia has 327. The US has 190 tons of gold. Canada has 170. Now, this is based on numbers from 2020. Brazil has 117. Now, where are the largest gold mines? In Central Asia, there's the largest gold mine, and it is 1.6 miles. It's 1,837 feet deep. 1,837 feet deep, and that is in Central Asia. It's called Uzbekistan. And then in Nevada, USA, is the second largest gold mine. It's called the Carlin Trend, and it's 47.3 miles wide and 35 miles long. And then Russia, 34 tons. Okay, so there's the three largest gold mines are in Central Asia, in the United States, and in Russia. I didn't know that. I don't know if you knew that. Anyone who's joining us, I hope you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, why am I bringing up all this? Well, basically to bring awareness, so you know. Because if we're headed into a world where gold is going to be important, it's going to be a way of determining whether or not you have wealth. I think it's important to know as much as you can about it. And these are just some like really minor facts about gold that I'm mentioning. We know it's a precious metal. They have to mine for it. And I know, like, when I was a kid, people would run around they'd run around with like this little sand filter, and they'd lift up the ground and they'd have a little gadgetry and they'd try to look for precious metals. But we're talking about legit gold mines. They are right now in our world. So let's be aware of this. So what is the price of gold today? I looked it up. It's $1,939.99 today. That's what the gold price is right now. $1,939. I guess that's based on per ounce. I'm not really quite sure. And it's raised its value since October, November. It was at $1,650. So just be aware of that. All right, so now we're almost headed to the 1 hour mark. I'm going to start to get into higher consciousness and psychic phenomenon. Now here's a little part of the very large map that we know about, the awakening map. I don't know if anyone here has seen that. And we hear, right, look in the middle, what is that? The Great Solar Flash. Is the Great Solar Flash coming? Are there indications of this right now? What else does this say? Well, it speaks about extraterrestrials. Isn't that interesting? Extraterrestrials. Now, it was very funny last night when I watched this Tucker Carlson video that was placed. It was only 10 minutes long, but he covered quite a bit on Twitter. And he spoke about this downed extraterrestrial craft and how we've utilized it, and we've been devising ways to have reverse alien technology, and that's how we have some of the advanced technology that we have today. And so he spoke of extraterrestrials. So I wanted to just show this picture right here. And I showed you already the reptilians. And then here's actually a little news clipping from the original Roswell. And so it says even right here, Roswell, New Mexico, captures flying saucer on the ranch in Roswell region. So this has been going on, and this was like 1947. And that's how long we've kind of been in a place of darkness, and we've been convinced that it's all science fiction. But we know now that it's not. We know now that extraterrestrials maybe have been around for over 100 years. And we're actually bringing some focus to it. Now, is everyone talking about it? Not really. It's almost like they don't care. So before we get on to higher consciousness, I want to remind you about tumbled gemstones. So tumbled gemstones are these pieces of nature. They come from the earth, and they do carry healing properties. So you might want to go out and get some crystal gemstones, some amethyst, some amazonite, some black obsidian, some carnelian, some rose quartz, whatever you feel that brings to you some kind of healing. Maybe it's you place them on your throat chakra or your crown chakra or your third eye chakra or your heart chakra, whatever you sense is healing for you. Okay, our higher consciousness. Now, I've spoken about telepathy. I've spoken about remote viewing. I've spoken about channeling, and what they all have in common is utilizing your clair senses. Now, I say, oh, I'm an intuitive. I am hearing through my clair audience. I'm hearing information from another source. I'm maybe having a sensation, and it feels very physical. And what I mean by that is when we have elements of just our own self, it doesn't have the same, I guess you could say, physical feeling as when you're receiving information from an outside source. It's a transference, and it comes through maybe through your clairaudience, you're hearing, your clairvoyance, you're seeing, your clairsustenance, you're feeling. Now, if you have what's called claircognizance, you have all three of these, and you are capable of connecting to your higher consciousness through your claircognizance. And it's like a triangle. If you look at this, right? It's your ear, your third eye, and your heart. And what I'm realizing myself is as I'm activating more and more of my inner life, I'm activating more of my intuition, my clairsenses. I'm really discovering that I have claircognizance. Now, maybe you do as well. And when we've done our psychic phenomenon, we've discussed, and I've mentioned, that's why I've brought on channelers and psychics. We had Psychic Joan last week, and she gave a long explanation about what she's doing and how it affects her and what experiences she's had. And if you watch that video, you can find it under my uploaded videos. And she will give you a lot of information. And she's a great storyteller. So check that out. I believe it was uploaded last Tuesday or Wednesday last week. And the reason why I have psychics and I have channelers on and I have mediums is because I want you to realize that it's possible. When we realize something's possible, then we're actually allowing it into our lives. We're allowing it into our focus, our awareness, and it's almost like out of sight, out of mind. And when it's in sight, it's in mind. And then you realize the more that you allow these kind of individuals or energy or thoughts or information or data, whatever you want to call it, into your life, then the more you're going to be actually susceptible to it. And it will actually gift you. And I know this from myself. I know the more I became open, the more things flowed, the more I was able to manifest, the more darkness left me. It's all kind of going hand in hand. All right, so when we want to connect to our higher consciousness, what exactly do I mean by that? Well, our higher consciousness is our awareness. Our higher consciousness is our wisdom. Now, we can connect to others through our higher consciousness to their higher consciousness. And I've been doing this as of lately. I've realized that it's not really that difficult. And what I'm referring to is you can reveal information, you can find out. Now, you're actually connecting to someone else's spirit, and I'm going to give you ways to do this. I'm going to share with you what I've done and what I've experienced. And then we're going to do some little activities and exercises so you can become more acquainted to this. In the past, we've had exercises that we've done together, and I say, okay, we do the steps of relaxation. We've dropped down. And then I say, connect to one of your clairsenses. Haven't I? And what I've realized now is I've realized that because I've been doing that and I've been activating more than one clairsense at a time, I've realized that I'm now capable of connecting to someone else's higher consciousness. And what is that exactly? Well, we've spoken about the chakras outside of our body, right? Here's our crown chakra, and then there's 5 chakras that are leading up to cosmic chakras, galactic chakras, and they're all part of our spirit, our inner life. And so when we connect with our chakras to someone else's chakras, it's their higher consciousness. It's like we're bridging to someone else. We can have a telepathic conversation with them. It's possible, and they can reveal information. And it's not we're not talking about here, we're not speaking about thinking, we're not speaking about seeing with what we see here, because that's not everything. What we see here is only what our eyes are sharing. Our eyes aren't sharing frequencies. Our eyes aren't sharing senses. Our eyes aren't sharing energies. Our eyes are only sharing with us physical, like here's a pen. When we tune in, and I've shared with you, maybe a pen is valuable if it's someone else's pen, and we tune into that pen and we receive information about whoever's pen this is. That's what we're talking about here. That's what I'm referring to. I'm not referring to what we see, because we don't really have a lot of advantage to knowing that. We have advantage to tuning into our senses. So let's realize that our higher consciousness is our spiritual essence. It's part of what transcends your instincts. It's your gut. It's your intuition. It's your knowing. This is exciting stuff. You will have basically an advantage, and it's not an advantage like, oh, I have an advantage over that person. It's more of an advantage for you to recognize and deliver to yourself whatever you want. It's whatever you want to whatever you desire, whatever you sense that you would like to manifest. This is how you can kind of connect to everything else out in the universe, and it's going to transcend time and space. You're going to connect to someone. You can ask someone questions, and you're connecting to their spirit. You can determine and realize events that are going to happen. You can see them because you are actually reaching your claircognizance. You're going to be tuning into your hearing, your sight, and your feeling all at once. Those 3 clairsenses. That's what you're going to do. So it's going to bring awareness to your spiritual essence, the meaning of life, your truest nature, your potential, and you're going to engage in universal principles. That's what you're going to be doing right now. Hey, music, long time no see. Catching this one late. We'll have to rewind. No worries. What does it say? Oh, I thought it said Merkaba, ancient light vehicle. All right, so you're going to start to locate and realize your sense of hearing. That's what we're going to do right now. All right, so let's figure this out. We're going to do steps. So basically what's happening right now is we are going to achieve claircognizance, which is you're hearing, you're seeing, and you're feeling all at once. And then you're going to actually receive information. I guess you could say you're going to receive information whenever you ask these senses to come alive. And you can do this, you can operate your whole day. You can try to channel all the information throughout your day this way. Like, in other words, instead of operating by exactly what you're seeing, you're operating by what am I hearing right now? And you're trying to do these, you're joining them all together. And it's at first, it's going to seem very difficult. You're going to say, well, how am I going to do this all at once? I've been tuning into one sense or maybe two, but now I'm going to tune into three. And you know what? We're going to stretch ourselves so we can do this. And then we're going to also connect on a higher level, higher consciousness to someone else. And we're going to achieve this. We're going to do this right now. So let's do this right now. All right. So let's locate and realize our sense of hearing. All right. Let's do our little steps before. Okay. Now you're going to be a receiver right now. I'm going to give you the benefits of this. You're going to be a receiver of random information. You're going to know outcomes. You're going to wake up in the morning and have answers and problems solved. I'm telling you, this is going to work. You're going to sense others' energies. Stay with me. Now, what is claircognizance? It's clear knowing, which is clear hearing, clear sight, clear feeling. Now, there's not going to be a logical explanation. As usual, you're not going to have proof. It's not like you're going to say, here's a piece of paper. You're going to have to realize that this is a knowing that you're going to have, and you're going to sense that it's different than other thoughts that you normally have, because you can feel it physically. You can feel it physically. So you're going to know specific things without prior knowledge. Now, these are not thoughts. These are sensations. This is transference, information transference from another source. You might see the future events, and you might be able to communicate beyond the physical realm and physical sight. All right, so let's do this together right now. All right, so we are going to, if we choose to, we keep our eyes open. Now, I keep my eyes closed because when I have my eyes open, this is personal, it's distracting to me. So we don't want to be distracted. So I keep my eyes closed, okay? So we're going to do some psychic phenomenon right now, and we're going to reach out to higher consciousness. All right, so we're going to let out a breath. You know, we might have all had some kind of complicated day. Maybe it was an easy day for you. When I let out a breath, I'm trying to let go of any stresses that I've had throughout my day, maybe anxiety. And I tend to speak a little quicker when I'm doing these videos because I want to keep everyone's attention going. So it tires me out more so. So we're letting out a breath and we're dropping down. We're letting go of any tension. Maybe let go of tension. Maybe move your arms around. Maybe reach up, drop them down, and let go of any tension. Maybe some energies drop out of your fingertips. Maybe you need to speak out, say some words, or sounds. So we're like a rag doll, and we're letting go of any kind of tension within our body. We want to have a normal flow of inhaling and exhaling, don't we? So we're breathing in, we're maybe through your nose, through your mouth, whatever you choose. So we're inhaling and we're exhaling. We're inhaling Holding it. And we're exhaling. And we're inhaling. We want to focus on our breath, don't we? And try to create some kind of stillness within us so that we're more quiet. Because when we're more quiet, we have the ability to recognize what we're hearing, what we're seeing, what we're feeling. Because when we have stillness, our body's at peace more, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And then we can receive the information and we're aware of it. And if we're kind of, our body's still like, oh, from the day, we might miss some of this. We don't want to miss any information that we're receiving because it's important, because whatever you're receiving is your frequency. You're only going to receive information that is your frequency. So it's meant for you. It's not meant for me. It's not meant for your neighbor. It's meant for you. All right. So we've focused on our breath. We've let go of any tension in our bodies. We've pushed away any doubt. If we have doubt, we're not going to receive anything. We have to have self-acceptance, willingness. Now we're dropping down into our physical body. So we're putting all of our weight in our bottom. We're letting out breaths. We're having focus. We're having concentration, right? And we're allowing this to happen right now. And we have confidence. All right, so now what I'd like you to do is, I'd like you to realize you're hearing. I'm going to be quiet for a second because we're going to connect them all together. We're going to do this all at once. So when I say that, I want you to really concentrate. I'm going to be quiet on everything you're hearing in the room. Then you're going to be beyond the room, and you're just going to give these suggestions to yourself as far as you can hear. This takes practice, right? So I'm going to be quiet. You're going to just do that. What you hear here, beyond the walls, and as far as you can possibly hear. Okay, so we're just activating that. Now, maybe when you're listening, you're seeing things. Whatever it is, maybe it's a voice, maybe it's a sound, maybe you're like, it's not working. But you just focusing and concentrating, it will work. You just have to be patient and you have to let it flow. When we least expect it, you will receive information. And you can't, it's not on demand sometimes. It's just going to flow. And then you're going to say, oh my gosh, it's happening to me. All right, so we have that going on. So we're hearing beyond the walls of the room. Now I'd like you to, while you're hearing beyond the walls of the room, beyond the walls of wherever you are, I want you to, at the same time, connect to your clairvoyance, your clear seeing. So you have clear hearing, now clear seeing. I want you to connect. I want you to try to do them both at the same time. Clear seeing. Are you seeing another world? Is it another realm? What is there? Is it another location? Whatever it is for you, try to do the same thing. Maybe it'll be overwhelming, but try to stay with your hearing and your seeing at the same time. So then wherever you are, you're hearing what's going on at the same time. It can be very, overwhelming to your senses. Maybe it's a sensation. Okay, so let's see. So you have the hearing and the seeing at one time. And now I'd like you to connect to the feeling at the same time. So you're hearing, you're seeing, and you're feeling at the same moment. So you might have to keep reminding yourself as you're doing it. Okay, so I hope that you received something. So basically, you would be receiving a location, you'd be seeing something, you'd hear what's going on, and then you would also be feeling whatever your mood is. Were you feeling good in this situation? So it might be considered remote viewing. Maybe it's going to be an event that happens to you. Okay, so now that we've established this, the hearing, the seeing, and the feeling all at once. So you're multitasking, basically, you're juggling. We are going to try to remind ourselves. Now, maybe the first time you do this, it's not going to be easy. Maybe it will. Maybe you're going to receive a flow of information. You want to stay in it as long as possible. And I could tell you what I saw, just so I can give you an example. So I heard shells, and it was actually an irritating sound. You know, when you would see someone scraping a chalkboard, it was shells on a beach, and they were rubbing together, and it was kind of a grinding sound. And so I heard that first, and then I saw this. And then I saw I was seeing that, and then there was two people in the background. And then I went to feeling, but I felt that it wasn't a pleasant experience. There was something going on, and it was whatever the experience was, the grinding of the shells represented how I was feeling. It's very interesting. So it's almost like my feeling in that moment, wherever I was, I believe this is an event that's going to come in the future. The grinding of the shells was a representation of how I'm feeling. It's very interesting. I don't know if you had an experience. I'm just sharing with you mine. All right, so now let's take it to even a more advancement. We're going to reach our higher consciousness. Now, what is your higher consciousness? Your higher consciousness is really a wisdom and your inner spirit, the essence of you. So I believe, now this is my personal belief, that when we are here walking around our physical, we think this is all of the importance, what we look like, what we sound like. Now, maybe it's a representation of who you are, your spirit. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a contradiction. I don't know. You know, sometimes based on how I look, people assume what my spirit's going to be like, who I am. Your spirit is who you are. Basically, your personality, your spiritual life. So what I would like us to do is I would like us to utilize the claircognizance with reaching to someone else and speaking to someone else to their higher consciousness. So it's basically spirit to spirit. Is this possible? Absolutely. So let's see if we can receive information. So let's close our eyes again. We're going to remind ourselves of the little steps because, you know, sometimes if we skip a step, we're not going to get there. So we have to just remind ourselves of the steps. And when you do this on your own, you don't want to rush it. You want to have patience because you want to receive information. It's important for you to receive information because that's how you're going to actually reach, like I say, your destiny right here in this moment. And you know what's going to happen is everything's just going to flow for you. When you start to figure out more of your inner life, it's going to flow for you even more like this, like this. And you're going to advance yourself. You have advancement within you that you don't even know is there. All right, so let's do this. So we're going to close our eyes, let out a breath. We're going to relax again. We're going to breathe in and breathe out. And we're going to push away any doubt. We're going to have a knowing that we can do this because we can. You can do this. You're completely capable. We're going to drop down into our physical being. We're making contact. We're accepting this. We're having confidence. We know and we have a willingness we can do it. And we're going to concentrate. And again, we're going to remind ourselves, hearing beyond the walls of the room. Come on, activate that right now, beyond the walls of the room. Hearing. So I say that, you do it. And that's the suggestion. Now to your clairvoyance, you're seeing. So you're hearing, now you're seeing. And now you're feeling. So I'm doing it again. Hearing, beyond the walls of the room. Now you're connecting to your seeing. What are you seeing? It should be something different than before. I'm sure it will be. And feeling, all at the same time. And now what I'd like you to do is, so you're going to try to keep that going. We're juggling again, balls in the air. And now what I'd like you to do is, I'd like you to imagine that you're reaching up past your crown chakra, up through your own chakras, which are 12 inches beyond your top of your head, 18 inches beyond the top of your head. So imagine maybe light, a ball of light. And now I'd like you to choose someone that you'd like to speak to their higher consciousness. And I'd like you to go to someone. Maybe someone's going to pop into your head. Maybe you have to come up with someone. Whoever comes forward for you when you think of this is the person. And maybe you're going to ask them something. Maybe it's imperative to you. There's something that you need to figure out, and you're going to receive information. So let's do this. You're going to talk to their higher consciousness. I'm going to do this right now myself. It just popped into my head. So I'm trying to hear, see, feel, and connect to the higher consciousness all at once of this other person on the globe right now that is alive and breathing. Okay, so I received information. Now we have to remind ourselves we can't go with what we're thinking when we do this. We have to put our thoughts out, away. We're basically, when I say give yourself a suggestion of someone, that's probably the only thought that you have, or that suggestion. Because when we get into our thoughts, it's what we've been programmed. It's all we've ever known. Your essence, your spirit, your senses have all the information. We're just not really used to tapping into that. So we're together tapping into our potential. And your potential is actually the truth. Your potential is your truth and wisdom about what's going on out here. You don't need to see things to know what's going to happen or what you should do or the outcome. You can realize events before they're going to happen. As long as you don't put pressure and you have patience, a flow of information will come through. Now, what I've been doing lately is, and that's why this gave me the idea to speak of this today, is without realizing, I'll get into my car to go to my place of work. And I'll say to myself, you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to just tune into the world, the energies of the globe. And so I'll say, okay, what am I hearing? What am I seeing? What am I feeling? And it's interesting because my world, like for example, at my job, is becoming much more full. And I don't know if I'm bringing it forward or it's just a transition that's going on because of changes on the earth, but everything is starting to be affected in my life in a good way. So that's why I wanted to share this with you tonight. All right, so we are receivers. Know that you are a receiver and you are also a transmitter. And Tonight we spoke about the power grid shutdown. We spoke about Nazis. We spoke about where's the gold and how to connect your higher consciousness. So I'm giving you these suggestions because I'm hoping that it will help you to have personal happiness, realize exactly how wonderful you are. You're a cherished being of light. It doesn't matter where you live, what you have, what you do, what you look like. You're the gold. You're a beautiful being of light. I want good things for you. I appreciate everyone who's here and who joins me and us in this community. And I know that if we take these baby steps with our clear senses, we are going to evolve faster. We are going to bring our personal happiness and our serenity quicker in this moment. And tomorrow when you wake up, maybe you'll have solved a problem in your sleep because you've acquainted yourself with your claircognizance. Okay, everyone, thank you for joining us. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. I'll be back again. I will come up with more ideas about topics, and I hope everyone is well and good things for you. I'm spinning light, and you're in the center of it, and you're making a wish. And so I'm imagining white light, a band foot long surrounding everyone who's here tonight. And guess what? We're all connected. Maybe we're in the center of this light together. And I'm spinning the light, and it's clockwise, and I spin it 3 times, and then it's counterclockwise, because it's shedding all the darkness that surrounds you and all of the negativity, and it's bringing forward your personal happiness. Okay? Everyone be well. I'll be back again soon. Bye.